Good morning to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here. Let's talk about the latest concerning Tropical Storm Isaias. Mike over there is going to correct me if I ever get it wrong. Isaias down just off the Florida southeast coast. A few changes with it overnight. It actually weakened from a wind perspective, wind down to 65 miles per hour. But once again, some structural changes are occurring that we need to take a look at. We'll talk about what to expect for Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, and into the Northeast. As we progress, this is several steps in this process, and we need to basically take it one day at a time. Looking at the broader picture, very well organized tropical wave off of Africa. This is Invest Area 94L to the north and east of the islands. This will probably try to develop some as it moves up to the northwest over time, and eventually north and out to sea. Well, staying out to sea anyway. Bermuda may have to deal with this a little bit in terms of some impacts, maybe some rain. That's about it. And then, of course, we have Isaias down here off the coast of the Florida Peninsula. Looking at the track map, the 8 a.m. intermediate advisory pressure now up to 996 millibars. So we call that filling, where the air is filling back in. And when it does that, the air pressure rises and the wind is not as strong. There's not as much of a pressure gradient, the difference between pressure over distance, and as such the wind is only 65 miles per hour, which is not too bad, obviously. And that's mostly going to be contained within the stronger bands offshore. Onshore, there are some areas along the Florida immediate coast that could see tropical storm conditions today. We'll look at that in closer detail in a moment. As a reminder, always good key messages with these infographics and all sorts of little things you can click on here on the National Hurricane Center homepage. Be sure to take advantage of that. You pay for it with your taxes, so you might as well. So looking at the track map, let's just check it out for the next 3 days. And some interesting minor changes. Maybe it doesn't quite make landfall with the center along the Florida coast, which is not going to matter too much. As you see here, this orange color here. In fact, let's zoom in. This will really help. This little orange ball looking thing here, that's the wind field, the tropical storm force extent of wind, and that generally is offshore and to the east of the center, owed to this westerly shear that's coming across, and I'm just kind of making it exaggerated there, blowing the thunderstorms and the convection, tilting it all to the east of the center. This is not a symmetrical system, it's asymmetric, and we'll be able to see that much better on radar in just a moment. So until and unless it gets more symmetrical and the wind field is round like that, if that ever happens as it moves up the coast, most of the energy with it's going to stay offshore. And as such, storm surge impacts, rain bands, any threat of tornadoes will remain east of the center, generally speaking. You will still have some onshore flow, especially to the north of the center. Remember, the wind blows counterclockwise, so yes, there's onshore flow up here, and any bands that come in, it could bring a few more noticeable increases in water levels, some higher wave action, that kind of thing, but it's lopsided right now, and that's a very good thing because the lopsidedness is offshore, and so this is good news for Florida for the time being. We like what we're seeing here with these trends. So it might make landfall with that center of circulation later today into very early Monday morning. Then this trough that's coming in the upper levels up here will begin to turn the flow from southwest to northeast. Isaias will pick up forward speed from 9 miles per hour now to faster, and it is forecast to make landfall up here in South Carolina and move across eastern North Carolina through the Chesapeake Bay. And as we broaden this out, we can see it goes on up into New England, and this is going to be a big rain and possible severe weather threat. This is what I talk about when I preach the idea of understanding the totality of what we have to deal with these systems. They're not a hurricane. People don't care as much. It's not as impactful, they think. Well, heavy rainfall moving into New England. We've seen it in the past with storms that have gone up there. Some of the mountainous areas, it just all depends. The track, the rainfall, and you need to figure out the impacts, okay? Heavy rain, August, this could lead to big flooding problems. The threat of tornadoes will be there. We're going to talk about that more tomorrow. Because right now, I think there's almost, well, we won't say zero. You never say zero. There's very little tornado threat for the Florida Peninsula. I am more worried about a tornado threat for this area in the Carolinas, mainly North Carolina, up through the Mid-Atlantic and into the Northeast. But again, let's look at that starting tomorrow. Maybe even later today or this evening with my evening update that I will do. All right, so that's a look at the track. The watches and warnings, you see tropical storm warnings in blue. Tropical storm watch now extending into North Carolina. And this will go further up the coast over the coming hours, I do believe. And that makes sense because this will be an impactful storm, even for the Chesapeake Bay, parts of the Tidewater area of Virginia. But again, we'll address that as this evolves. So it kind of waned away overnight after that burst early yesterday evening, faded away. Now it's really trying to make a comeback, and look at all of that lightning. Wow, that is a lot of lightning near the center, but east of it. The center of circulation, the low-level center, is sitting over here. I'll show you on radar in a minute. Now, this is more organized than we saw last night. It's getting there. And the cloud cover is expanding. The shear and the dry air are still there, but this is pretty impressive. Moving over the Gulf Stream, there is just a little bit of indication of outflow where everything is kind of expanding out. But the shear is still impacting this, you can tell, as everything has kind of been blowing away from southwest to northeast or west-southwest to east-northeast. And this is not allowing Isaias here to vertically stack up. And that's what's so important here. The low-level center, the mid-level center, and then way up at the upper levels, if everything is aligned, then it's off to the races for this to intensify. And that's just what tropical cyclones do. When they are tilted with height, it's just not a good alignment. Things don't work the way they're supposed to. It sputters. You get a burst of convection, and it's trying, and then it collapses again. And that's what we're seeing here with these pulses. But today, that's pretty impressive there. It's trying to get its act together, and that is a tremendous amount of lightning. And some of these lightning strikes here on the western side of Grand Bahama, that could be some cloud-to-ground lightning in there. You never know. If you're over here, you're probably hearing a lot of rumbles of thunder. I'd love to hear from you if you're on the west side of Grand Bahama there. And wow, I mean, that must be something else. Lightning in tropical cyclones is usually a sign of intensification because it's incredible updrafts and a thunderstorm development. So look at the radar here. I really like this radar that Mark Nissenbaum does from Florida State University. And there's a couple things that we can note. The low-level center is located somewhere in here, and this is more of the mid-level center. And you can see that they're both rotating, right? So it's going to be interesting to see, does this pull the low-level center more and keep the whole thing offshore? Because it's kind of a tug of war here. You've got the low-level center rotating along, and then you've got the mid-level center kind of beside it, and they tug on each other as it moves up the coast. And sometimes that low-level center can tuck in underneath the mid-level, and they vertically align, and it starts to wrap around completely. We are seeing that this is trying to develop a central core again, but it's mostly in those mid-levels. And it is tilted because the winds are coming in from this way, generally speaking, and kind of blowing things off. I talked about that before. With the tilt of the system, it's not aligned. But this is fascinating to see, and most of the action, even though tropical storm warnings are in effect for the coast here, and they are over in the Bahamas, but the weather, the main nasty weather, is over the Bahamas. Hardly any of these bands coming on shore here in Florida at the moment. It's a pretty good day. It's a little breezy, for sure, but most of the action here is offshore. So unless this comes right in, which it's not, you're not going to see much in Florida. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not here for ratings. The ratings are going to come when the big hurricanes come, right? People are going to tune in more when there's a bigger item to tune in for. So there's no reason for me to hype it up. You're not going to see that much along the Florida coast today, and that's good news. But the surf is up. Be careful if you're going in the ocean. But go out and take some pictures. It's kind of neat. You see these little speckles that come in. The radar is updating. These tiny little reflectivity speckles. Those are some individual showers, and I'll show you what those look like in a moment on a camera. Go take some pictures of it. It's interesting. Hurricanes and tropical storms are inherently interesting. They have negative impacts. We can't deny that. But they don't have to be scary. I guess when they get really strong, sure. And I get that too. But otherwise, this is deeply fascinating to a lot of people. And the more we know and the more we can appreciate and respect it, I think the better off we shall be. A little farther up the coast, near Daytona and points, north of the Cape, near Daytona Beach there, south of Daytona. I know it better when I see the labels, right? Everybody does. Little band coming in there, so some increase in showers in that region, maybe near Titusville, and heading up towards Daytona Beach. And even up here, some of these showers you can see moving onshore, south of Jacksonville in this region, but nothing major. Okay, so again, you guys, except for some of these bands here, it's not going to be a really big event today. It's just the way it goes. So speaking of the maps, this will help us a little bit. So Daytona Beach is north of the Cape, obviously. And again, I'll outline it, really. Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and everywhere, you're done. This is pretty much over for you. You're going to be in offshore flow, no problems whatsoever. West Palm, north, not much at all today. And even if this center does come ashore, the absolute low-level center, which again, let me point that out, the low-level circulation is probably sitting right in here. That would be my guess. This is staying offshore. So even if this circle moves onshore, this stuff's still going to stay offshore unless these bands develop and start wrapping around. And I don't see that that's going to happen. Not yet. Okay, and that's the big clue here. Not yet. If we scoot this up, I'm more concerned about Charleston and just south of there up into the Cape Fear region in terms of the most impacts from this system. And let me explain why. I forgot to pull up the Tropical Tidbits model page, so we'll do that now. That's okay. We can just improvise here. So let's go to the southeast region. This is based on the 6Z or 6 UTC GFS. And this is an interesting way to look at it. This is showing us the mean sea level pressure. That's those little isobars in there, and then the number you see, and it says 995 millibars, which is right about where it is right now. So that's a good indication. And it's also the rain rate, but it also gives me an idea of the precipitation shield. What does it look like structurally? Kind of looks like radar, but that's not what this is. But look at how it represents the precip being to the east of the center there. The model kind of sees that. I think that's important. So let's just look at this over the next couple of days. From the 6Z run, we go out in time. Oh, let me get rid of my telestration there. We go out in time. This is valid this afternoon. And again, that low-level center gets close to the coast, but these colors over here, that's all the precip offshore. Maybe a little closer by tonight. So Cocoa Beach, that area, the Vero Beach points north, Palm Bay where I am now. The precip could wrap in and get a little closer. Still holds on at 995, 999. It shows a little weakening. Maybe it's crossing the coast some. Then by tomorrow morning, it's offshore. And now look at the precip shield as we go to Monday afternoon. And it's starting to deepen again, 995 on the pressure. This is not an intensity specific model. We'll make that very clear. The global models do show intensification, but they're not specifically designed to do that. So that it shows it going from 999 here and 999 there down to 995, and then finally 992 with that precip shield wrapping into the low country near and south of Charleston. And then again, this would be Monday evening, so tomorrow night, and then finally a landfall somewhere maybe in the border region of North Carolina, South Carolina, and it starts to weaken over land, but very heavy rain into the sandhills, and then up it goes into southeast Virginia. Maybe some flooding in Raleigh. We will address this more tomorrow morning, I promise, but this is what it looks like. Now, let me just show you real quick the specific model. It's called the HWRF, and that is the Hurricane Weather Research Forecast Model. This is also from the 6Z run, and it is specifically designed for tropical cyclones. Let's back this up. We get every 3 hours here. So here it is, 997. It's showing the precip disorganized, etc. We go through time. This is this afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern, and the HWRF here suggesting more bands form. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm not believing it, but it does show the pressure dropping to 988, and this is an intensity model. This is the model that the Hurricane Center and the federal government, Weather Service, everybody designed and pours money into to tell us how strong it's going to be. That's what this is for. It doesn't know what's going on in China, in Greenland, in Wyoming. Doesn't matter. It is focused on Isaias. You get me? So that it's showing it getting down to 988. Okay, that's interesting, and that's 2 p.m. this afternoon. So let's see what Recon says. Does it make it to 988 on the 2 p.m. advisory? We'll see. 987. Okay, deepening more. 988. This is now this evening through tomorrow morning, very early. Maybe a little bit of, kind of holding this on. But then what is that? 986, 989, 991. So some weakening. So by tomorrow afternoon, though, 990, 986. You see where I'm going with this? Headed just east of Charleston, which is right here. That's Charleston Harbor. Let's use, we use black to make it pop. Charleston Harbor. This is Georgetown, the Grand Strand up through here. Solid banding, 986 or so it looks like on that. Looks like a 6 in there. And then it goes on up 985 and then 984 over interior North Carolina very early in the morning, 2 a.m. Tuesday morning. So we got to really watch this because this is a concave shape. We could get some surge problems on that right front quadrant as this comes in. We will address this more, but the bottom line, you folks in northeast South Carolina and southeast North Carolina, the Cape Fear region, Brunswick County, and then inland areas, we need to be ready for a possible hurricane situation. Category 1 hurricane would not shock me at all. Don't go saying, Mark's forecasting. That's not what I said. The model is suggesting it. The atmosphere could do it. The ocean's certainly warm enough. I think there's a good shot that this comes back to being a hurricane before it makes landfall. And one more thing about this, these individual cells that we see here, we need to watch these as they rotate in. The tornado threat in eastern North Carolina will be higher as we move out in time. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Not trying to worry you. I'm telling you what to expect. All right? So Patreon is how we do what we do. I talk about this because, yes, it's our funding source, but it's also your key to being able to access everything that we do, the entire package. It's growing. We need a budget of around $6,500 a month to do everything we want to do. And I'm talking like the sky is the limit. And you know what? We're practically halfway there. We're doing well with that. 348 strong and growing. So what do you get with Patreon? This is part of it. It's not like PayPal or Kickstarter where, oh, here's some money, go do something, or GoFundMe. It's this cooperative, and I'm going to do a video just about Patreon later on after Isaias, but it's more of us working together. You know, you guys provide the funding, and then I'm able to provide you with products and services tailored, in many cases, directly to you, because we message each other. This is what it looks like. At the $10 level, you have access to our insider site, and we have our own chat here, my own blog that I do in here, the cameras, etc., and links that we can post. This is what it looks like. And these are real people, real patrons. These really exist, okay? There's me. I can post stuff. This is our real-time chat. It's fantastic. Our different toolbars up here, and one of them is the digital dashboard. And it's getting populated. We have 3 out of the 8 camera positions, and we actually have more cameras than that are populated. This is the vehicle cam right now, alive and well, a little breezy, not much, you know, but there you go. These other ones to be determined. We're getting there, but this is down in Vero Beach, kind of breezy, cloudy. I told you I was going to show you some cam shots. This is the camera in Marineland, and again, this is facing south. Some little towering cumulus clouds right there. I feel like Bob Ross. Anytime you can put Bob Ross in the conversation, Mike, it's a good day. Seriously, though, this is what we do. This is what I am able to do with your support. The digital dashboard, you know, Radar's having some issues there. We embed the Twitter in there. And then there's the chat again. It's really, really neat to be able to do this. And it's thanks to y'all's support. And today, I'm getting ready to post a link on Patreon and to our HurricaneTrack insiders, all of our $10 tier level members, patrons, supporters, and up, a brand new mobile addition to this digital dashboard. That's basically what it is. That works on your mobile device very much like an app does. It replaces our now defunct Hurricane Impact app. That became too expensive, trying to get it to work on Android and iOS and all the expense involved in keeping it going, and it was just a major headache. We've reinvented it so that it's a mobile web app type thing that's not available on an app store, but it'll be part of our Patreon products or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You'll see if you're a patron. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to unveil that today, and we're going to see how that goes. It should work a lot better than the old app. So there you go. Right now, let me get me back because I like talking to you, not at you. I'm in Palm Bay. There's not much else for me to do here in Florida. I've put 2 cameras out. I've addressed the impacts, what I think is going to happen. And it's time for Mike Farrow, my buddy over here, a good friend and colleague of more than 20 years, for he and I to head north. So we're going to make our way back up north into Charleston this evening. I'm going to put a camera system there, probably one up in the Murrells Inlet area, very familiar locations. And then tomorrow, several in Brunswick County, Ocean Isle Beach area. Some of you have reached out to me expressing, oh, I know a place where you can set one. In fact, if you do have oceanfront property in Brunswick County, I would love to hear from you. And let me know. Send me an email. I'll put the link to that in today's description. And also in Hanover County, I'll be posting a camera out there as well, my neck of the woods. So the bottom line, when all is said and done, this digital dashboard here is going to have all 8 camera slots filled from Florida all the way up into the Carolinas, and I might even have to add a couple more there because we may have 10 cameras, who knows. So that's what we're going to do. All right, there's my plan. I'm sticking with it. Along the way, I will be posting, of course, on Twitter from time to time, and I'm on YouTube, as you well know. And hey, listen, thanks you guys for helping my YouTube grow. A lot of our patrons are learning about what I'm doing on YouTube. And Patreon kind of grew out of YouTube and how the whole monetization of the big YouTube channels went kind of south a few years ago with the shakeup in the ad industry, and creators needed a way to be able to support their livelihoods. And now we have Patreon. What a wonderful thing. And it enables us to all do this, and I can affect the greater good. So thanks to all of you. All right, I'm going to shut up now and post this video. And you see, I didn't cough a single bit. I'm doing fine. We have to worry about it. I get it. I had just been talking a lot yesterday, and anyway, I'm doing great. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Thanks as always for tuning in to me. I appreciate it more than you know. I am Mark Sudduth, doing great in Palm Bay, Florida. I'll talk to you again from the road. HurricaneTrack.com, all that good stuff. We'll see you later.